Has the crypto market bottomed? Was that scary drop to $49,000 the bottom, and are we going higher? Will we see new all-time highs for crypto? I believe the answer to that is quite possibly yes. Let me dive into the charts and a quick update to show you what I'm seeing. So this week, Bitcoin dropped to a low of $49,577. And you can see we're back at $60,400 now. So a massive rebound. By the way, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Follow my page on Instagram if you're not following, so you can get these updates going forward. You can see here, this is the weekly chart, the 50 simple moving average. And as you can see over here, in 2021, we had a very similar price action. We had a massive run up, then we had a drop for about 4 months. And this run up, it peaked here, as you can see, in April. We dropped into July, and early August, we bounced off the 50-week moving average and started a run from what was at that point about $30,000 all the way to $69,000. So in the 4 months that followed after touching the 50-week moving average, the price of Bitcoin doubled, actually more than doubled. So are we repeating the same scenario once again? The timing is very similar. We had a massive run up. We peaked over here just about the end of March this year, and we dropped to test the 50-week moving average this week, here the first week of August. We rebounded, we're already at 60,000. Imagine that we get the same type of price action in the next 4 months, where the price of Bitcoin is going to 2x from touching the 50-week moving average, which in that case would be from 50,000, it would hit $100,000. Now, obviously that is a massive psychological level that would be absolutely phenomenal for Bitcoin to hit. Maybe it doesn't hit it this time because of that exact reason, you know. Maybe it gets to 90 or 95,000 and then everyone starts selling because they think it's not going to hit 100 and it just kind of drops. Or it's going to blast through it. I think it's going to be one of the two. I think it's going to be like either just short of it, or it's just going to blast through it and go to 110 or 120. And both are still a scenario at this point in time. Now, we do still have just a little less than 48 hours to go before the weekly candle closes. But unless something drastic happens here and Bitcoin drops all the way back down to 55,000 or 50,000 within the next 48 hours before the close, this looks really bullish. You can see what a reaction here. It just dropped into that 50-week moving average, completely rebounded, and is currently sitting just over $60,000. And as you can see over here, these highs have been completely untapped. Now, usually what you see over here for a top to form is you see a spike above the highs. You can see here we had that wick above the highs. You can see here we had that wick above the highs. Even here we had a wick above the highs. So typically if a top is formed here on this higher time frame, what you tend to see is a higher high, a drop below it. So a liquidity grab, it sweeps the high and then it dumps. Here we haven't had that at all. Okay, so if these highs, if it would have been something like this where it took the high and it dropped back below, that would have been a lot more scary in terms of the possibility of a top being in. Now, never say never, but the likelihood of this being a top for this cycle, in my opinion, is much lower because we haven't had this setup. And basically what we have now is we have a series of lower highs, which is liquidity, which means there's a lot of stops and a lot of liquidity to be taken at these levels, which means that if we get this candle formation here like this massive bounce off the 50-week moving average, basically we liquidated everyone here down to 50,000. That was all just taken with that drop. We rebounded and now the liquidity is sitting here above. So in theory, this continues higher and it takes all this liquidity. It goes to new all-time highs above 74,000. So then we have to see, do we continue higher and really take a run at 85 or 90 or 100,000? Maybe until the end of the year, maybe into November. Maybe this continues to run till March next year. That's also a possibility, because keep in mind, in terms of the halvings that we had, the previous halvings, you can see this halving was here in about May of 2020 and it peaked just about April, so 11 months later, and the actual like real full-time peak in Bitcoin only came in November, so up to 18 months after the halving. We have just had our halving now in April of 2024, so literally here. So even just 12 months or 11 or 12 months past the halving would take us until March of 2025. So we are still within this potential window where the bulk of the gains of this bull market cycle could still be ahead of us. We had the kind of mid-cycle 50-week moving average retest here, the mid-cycle correction. This was the first proper correction that we've seen since the bull market began in January of 2023. There haven't been any serious corrections. This was the first one. And because it is now a multi-month correction in the same way that it was over here in mid-2021, this increases the chances that we just continue higher. So I will do an update on Monday once we get the weekly close, but overall I think this is looking pretty bullish, and in my opinion the bull market is still in full force. I believe we go higher. I believe we see new all-time highs in Bitcoin, and the invalidation of that, so the bull thesis is cancelled if we get a weekly close below this 50-week moving average. That is when I will let go of being bullish and probably flip bearish in the same way that we saw it over here in January 2022. But for now, we have bounced off it. The high time frame trend is still bullish in my opinion. I think we see new all-time highs. It's just a matter of time, and I think that happens before March 2025, maybe even this year still. I suspect actually we'll see new all-time highs pretty quickly within the next couple of months, maybe even the next few weeks. So overall, I'm very, very bullish, and if Bitcoin continues higher, then we are waiting for our altcoins to finally pump, which again, I'll make a separate video on that, maybe tomorrow, maybe on Monday or next week. Altcoins tend to move last of the cycle. So we need Bitcoin to continue higher to make new all-time highs. And once it starts going above 75,000, 80, 85,000, and once we start getting into a window of about 7 or 8 months past the halving, which is probably about November of this year, then we likely start to see altcoins starting to move. It happened exactly the same in this previous cycle in 2021. In a similar way, also, even the cycle before that in 2017. And I think this time it's still looking similar. It's looking like that's how it's going to play out. So we're looking for Bitcoin to continue to new all-time highs. And then in 2 or 3 months from now, maybe October or maybe November, we start looking for altcoins to start to move. And hopefully we get a move and a continuation higher into the first quarter of 2025. So January, February, March, maybe a massive blow off top in March, and then a peak of the entire bull market, followed by another massive bear market in crypto and maybe worldwide in global stocks too. So let me know in the comments, what do you think is going to happen? Does this sound like something that you agree with? Do you think differently? Either way, let us know in the comments. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.